And we're live. Welcome back to the eSellerCafe News Roundup. I'm your host, Dave, and as always, I'm joined by Rich over in America. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Dave. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. This might be a bit weird if you're a usual watcher from the UK. We're an hour earlier. That's because our clocks went back. Nobody else's seems to, but ours did for an hour. So yeah, we had a bit of a time change here. Me and Richard are only 4 hours away rather than the regular 5, which is good. When do yours go back? Is it this weekend coming?
No, I think it might be the weekend after. So I don't even know. I just, it shows up on the news somewhere, and okay, I got to do it this week.
Yeah. Me and you have this debate every year. Like, why did he even bother? What's the point in it anymore? But yeah,
yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Well, here the Retail Association wants it to be darker longer because they're saying more people can go out shopping or something. I don't know. It's some bizarre thing.
There's probably some psychology behind it. But anyway, yes, that's the reason why, before we go way off topic, that's the reason why if you're in the UK, we're an hour earlier this week. And hopefully if you haven't, so we did email you. So again, if you're not on the email list, head over to eSellerCafe.com, subscribe there, and you'll be kept up to date with all the goings on as they happen. Richard, you've actually provided us in our little show notes here about some interesting facts and figures. We're now 56 days away from Christmas, 25 days away from Black Friday, and just 1 day away from Halloween. So, again, any fancy dress sellers, you probably had a really mental weekend, or at least last week as well.
Yeah, but all the adult parties happen Saturday night, I believe. I think that's all done.
Yeah, I think so. It's just it'll be the kids trick or treating on it probably tonight and tomorrow night, I imagine. I live in an apartment complex, so they can't get in. So
unfortunately, they have. I live in a townhome complex that they can get in.
Yeah, and to be fair, not many kids wander the streets of Manchester city centre at night time.
I need to move. Oh, no, wait a second. You said it was 2 degrees Celsius there.
Yeah, no, it's not warm here today.
It's 18 degrees Celsius here. And I'm
Floridian. Yeah, you're in Floridian climates now. Anything less than 20 degrees is cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, yeah, as always, it's the e-commerce news roundup from eSellerCafe, and we're going to do our lightning round where we give you the heads up about some of the smaller news pieces from this week. Just give you the brief outline before then getting on to the main discussion piece where me and Richard picked two articles this week, and we have a bit of a chat about them. And if you're watching live, feel free to join in the live chat. I'll be keeping an eye on that over on YouTube. If you're watching the recording, again, any comments, questions, let us know in the comments section down below. Always up for hearing your guys' thoughts on what is going on. And anything else to cover? No, that's pretty much it. So with that said, we're going to kick things off with the lightning round. As always, with anything that we talk about, all of the links for more information to the full articles are in the description below. Click the little show more button underneath the video and it'll expand out with all the different links with all the article titles, so you can be fully aware of everything that's going on in the world of e-commerce.
And I actually did a little improvement over the weekend. I added the couple links that more highlight the 14-day archive. If you click on those will also get you the press releases. Typically, we do not bring up press releases in the lightning round, although we have one today. But some of the press releases are interesting, and we try to pick the ones that are most relevant for e-commerce. With that said, I'll start off the lightning round. Amazon launches business prime shipping in the US and Germany. I don't know why they picked Germany of all countries in Europe to start this with, but so there it goes. Basically, here in the United States, there's about 1 million members that were business prime members. They didn't really get a whole heck of a lot, I guess, in return for it. Now they're going to do prime shipping, which means they're going to get it in 2 days or less. In Germany, they were already pretty much doing next day delivery as is, I believe. So this may just be a little bit of a landing page thing for Germany, because even the press release just sort of said, well, it's launched in Germany, but didn't really give any specifics. So here for the US, it's important because big box retailers, Office Depot, Office Max, Staples, they're under a lot of pressure, and they're closing stores. They're trying to go some e-commerce. Staples has owned Quill for a long time, which is basically the largest office supply chain, which is also responsible for a sales tax ruling that is still current, more or less, depending which state you talk to. And so this is now another one of those Amazon stories where they're really hammering down on trying to go after a market. And so this will definitely put more pressure on those big box office supply chains. Next one is Facebook expands its marketplace for car shoppers. This would almost been a discussion around item, but what it boils down to is Facebook is going after Craigslist and eBay Motors specifically to they're incorporating dealer network of feeds into their marketplace. They're working with big people like Cars.com, Edmunds, Kelly Blue Book, and others. The one name that was sort of absent from that list was Carfax, which is our car history service that's very popular here in the US. But that is also often part of the dealer sales portion. So maybe that's why it's not part of it. Again, Facebook now seems to be doing a little bit more when it comes to e-commerce. I did find it ironic that this was announced a month after they did the integration with eBay. Now they're doing something that'll actually go against eBay's Motors program. So anyways, PayPal launches PayPal for marketplaces. Odd title. You go like, wait a second, PayPal's already available in every marketplace. You find obviously with eBay, you find it on Etsy, you find it on Bonanza, pretty much any marketplace except for Amazon. What they're really talking about here is I think they've done a restructure internally where they dedicated a staff to deal with marketplaces, and they expand the e-commerce definition of marketplace. You're going to call it that. You know, that's that group I just mentioned, kind of the top that we think about when it comes to marketplaces. But, you know, Uber is really a marketplace. Grubhub is a marketplace. You know, all these facilitators that help to bring individual third parties together with the consumer are really all marketplaces. And so they are saying we're going to work with this group much closer to form systems and processes that will help them. So somewhere along the line, this is good for everybody because the more people use PayPal, the more money people have in their PayPal digital wallets, which means if you accept PayPal, there's more likely people are going to, you know, just, I think I saw the other day that PayPal now is a larger company than American Express, at least when it comes to valuation in the stock market. Go figure, you know, so clearly PayPal is continuing to grow. And let's see, what else I got here? Amazon FBA UK wants your products for holiday season. This was actually a lead provided by Matt. If you've never tried Amazon FBA in the UK, they will pay for shipping up to 200 items. Check out the link. It's really a good deal, especially during the Christmas season. And if it doesn't sell, they'll ship it back to you for free. So, hey, what do you got to lose, you know? Then Amazon, we've been getting away from the financials a little bit until probably after this. The fourth quarter will be interesting because it involves you know, Christmas and holidays. But Amazon came out with some Q3 sales that were like stunned everybody. As a matter of fact, I think the stock went up like 12 or 13%, and I made a comment somewhere that, wow, it's Bitcoin
jump. Yeah.
Bitcoin jump, you know. So it's like, whoa, what happened, you know? So clearly no one expected the sales to jump to that level that they have. So that bodes very well for anybody that is selling on Amazon, and also that is a marketplace. I mean, that is a marketplace sell on Amazon because you're just riding on their coattails and should have a pretty darn good Christmas.
Well, if you remember back in, they announced their Q2 results and they made a loss, I believe. And at the time, everyone was like, oh no, Amazon's burning down. It's all gone terribly wrong. And people like me and you, Rich, were just like, no, but just look at what they've been doing. They've just launched Amazon Australia, Korea, Singapore. They've been spending a fortune on on their instant video platform. You know, they just invested so much money. Not only that, but also in all the Echo products, which we'll be talking about in a little while. You know, it was no surprise that they made a loss. And at the time, I remember, yeah, but just wait until they turn that profit back on. And that's exactly what we've seen with Q3. And yeah, I mean, again, Jeff Bezos was the world's richest man for about 6 hours previously. when that stock news broke, and actually Amazon share price dropped back below $1,000. And then I think on the news when that broke, Jeff Bezos's wealth jumped $6.7 billion on the news when that broke, taking him now to the world's richest man again.
And there was another story I saw, is that the increase that Amazon saw due to this news in market value on the stock market was greater than the worth or value of FedEx.
That's incredible, isn't it? When we talk about the numbers around Amazon and the likes of Apple and those guys, these internet sort of startup businesses, is incredible. The valuations that we're talking about. Anyway, before we get too distracted, over to sort of my section today. To kick things off, Amazon, again, stick with Amazon, has acquired Body Labs. Now, Body Labs was, or still is, a what should you call them, a startup? I guess they are a startup. It was basically a lab startup based in New York, which specialized in sort of 3D body scans, and it was quite sort of new technology that they were dealing with, and Amazon has acquired them, which leads to speculations as to what Amazon would do with this. My best guess is this is just going to be something for the likes of the Amazon Echo Show, where all of a sudden, using augmented reality, they can scan your body and start putting apparel or clothing or accessories onto your body and make the AR experience a little bit better. I'm struggling to think what else they would use it for. Body Labs, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it's an interesting acquisition. There's not been any official release on the amount. The speculations, it's somewhere in the region between $50 to $70 million.
Which is chump change now for Amazon. It's
exactly.
like, oh, wait a second. There's a quarter. There's a quarter for your technology.
Exactly. To most people, that's life-changing amount of money. I'm sure the founders of Body Labs are laughing their way to the bank right now. To Amazon, if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter at that point. The money is ridiculous. But yeah, as we spoke about with Amazon, with their private label stuff like Lark and Row, and obviously getting more into the fashion piece, that is what I think would be the most common sense way that they could utilize such technology. But we'll have to wait and see. Next up, free return policy could attract more buyers. Now, this again is maybe a little bit of an obvious one, but it's one to bear in mind on the run up to Black Friday and Christmas, especially Christmas, because here in the UK, and I'm sure it's similar in the US, traditionally some sort of small, medium-sized e-commerce businesses, obviously busy up until sort of Christmas Day, and then traditionally they'll be closed, or if not very minimally staffed, between Christmas and New Year, and everything picks up again maybe around the 4th or 5th of January. Now, that traditionally has brought some problems, or not problems, but some concerns for certain shoppers of certain items. Whereas if you're buying 2 weeks before Christmas and it's a gift for someone, are you then able to make sure that it works? Do you have to open it out of the box and test it before then returning it to make sure, you know, everything is as it seems? Does it ruin the experience? But then if you are a very organized shopper and you've bought too far in advance, are you outside of your returns window? Then after Christmas Day, you find out something doesn't work. What do you do? Where do you stand? You know, so a big thing, a big consideration I would extend to anyone watching this who does sell is maybe now is the perfect time to extend what your traditional returns policy is for a number of reasons. It's more fair for the customer. They can feel much more relaxed about the purchase, knowing that if something does go wrong on Boxing Day when someone's opened it, they can return it. At the end of the day, we all want happy customers. A happy customer is a returning customer. Secondly, it can actually bring you more sales. On the run-up to Christmas, price is obviously very important, but also so is convenience. And if you can give someone that trust and peace of mind that you're not going to have any issues with having a product returned or exchanged or whatever it may be, come January, in between Christmas and New Year, it can go a long way. So a certain consideration for you there. It's something that I've done personally in my experience working with businesses, and it has worked very well. You'd be surprised. We didn't see an increase in returns. It just meant those people who did have any issues got them rectified, and we could do something about it in a much more efficient way. We had less hairdryers on the phone telling us off for being terrible people and all the rest of it. So,
well, I just pointed. I just held up a gift certificate. That's obviously if you're really concerned that that's the go sell these gift certificates.
oh yeah, yeah, very true
But
as well.
in the U.S., we are slightly different in the U.S. That the day after Christmas, which is your Boxing Day, is I think considered nowadays the second or third busiest day of Christmas because of the amount of returns that get exchanged for then other items, and it is very, very important to take advantage of that. So so yeah, you may not like the fact that you have returns, but if you can take this, if something was given as a gift, most likely people are going to return it for something else in your store.
Exactly. It's one of those, and ultimately, it doesn't have to be a year-long policy. It can literally just be for the months around Q4, around the Christmas period, and then revert back to your normal returns policy. It's just, again, like Richard said, to allow for those considerations around the Christmas time.
Right.
Next up, click and collect services usage is higher in the UK than anywhere else in Europe. This is quite an interesting one. I've personally never used click and collect. I work from home, so again, don't really have that issue. But apparently in 2016, click and collect services were apparently 58% of retailers now offered some sort of click and collect service. And Europe as a whole has 42% of online shoppers that have used click and collect. However, Germany's usage has only hit 28%. So again, the UK's is the highest apparently out of all the EU countries. And this begs a question as to why. Is it because the UK is more efficient at this than anywhere else? We've heard reports of certain click and collect services in stores being understaffed, meaning there's lots of queues, especially in busy periods, run up to Black Friday, Christmas. Again, it's an interesting one to consider. Again,
maybe the rest of the world is just lazy.
maybe. I mean, to be fair, we were only doing this comparison with Europe. The UK is certainly one of the most e-commerce savvy countries in Europe, but as I would also say, Germany's probably second, and Germany had
and it's definitely not a factor. Well, in the US, I mean, Amazon is still they're the only ones really offering this kind of service here. For all practical purposes. So there are some other, I mean, you could open up, for example, you can go to like a UPS store or one of these things that has mailboxes.
Like the lockers, Amazon lockers.
Yeah. You could technically open up your own address there and have that be your click and collect if you wanted to, but that requires the customer or the consumer actually, purchasing another service from someone, so.
Yeah, it's a curious one. Not quite sure why click and collect is such a thing here in the UK. Well, I
think the rest of the world is just lazy. Let's go with that.
Anyway, moving on swiftly before we annoy anyone. We have a sort of a Top Gear moment. Is there anywhere we haven't offended yet? In next news about the Royal Mail strike, we mentioned that this was a funny one. We actually, as we released this news, literally about 2 hours later, an injunction from the High Court came out and ruled it was not going to happen. So Richard very quickly went in and updated that one. And since then, the CWU, which is the workers' union for the Royal Mail workers, has been trying to sort out this sort of mediation process. Now, this appointing of the mediator has taken a while. And the lady is a professor from Nottingham University, I think, as the mediator between the two parties. And for me, it seemed very, very tactical, because the CWU were complaining that mediator hasn't been appointed yet, and I think Royal Mail left it until the second day, or the second to last day, before announcing the appointment of this lady, which now means that after the entire mediation process, if it was all to happen smoothly and everything went as quickly as it could, the quickest any industrial action or strike action could take place is in 9 weeks' time. 9 weeks from the day of this news was the 27th of December. To me, this was a very tactical part played by Royal Mail CEO to say, if we hold off as long as possible, we can get through the Christmas period without any major industrial action. So, I mean, that's great news for sellers. You're not going to have any issues with Royal Mail up until the 27th, which realistically means not until January. So again, don't have to worry too much about strike action causing any issues with your Royal Mail deliveries. Just want to point out there, you know, we do totally sympathize with Royal Mail workers and understand that, you know, they've had this thing with the pension being taken away and all the rest of it. And I'm not condoning the acts of Royal Mail. I'm purely looking at this as my job is from the attitude of an e-commerce seller. And for me, it's good news. So,
well, and it also is important news for everybody else around the globe that sells cross-border, because most likely you're using mail to get it there. Obviously, Royal Mail is going to be your delivery agent in the UK. So if you're shipping from the United States with USPS, you realize once the thing lands in Heathrow or Stanford, I forget where they go. You know, once it lands in the UK, from there it's handed over to Royal Mail. So this news has impact also on sellers around the world that are selling internationally and globally. And so it's good to know that your products, your shipments from overseas will make it and get delivered in a timely manner for Christmas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next up, very quick one. Amazon UK has added more dash buttons for Prime members. I believe there's now over 100 dash buttons available from Amazon. If you don't know what the dash buttons are, it's a little wireless button from a brand such as Parcels, Bold. I think even Heineken have one. And you can put them anywhere around your house, press the button, and it automatically sends an order to your Amazon account and reorders the item that you have assigned to that dash button, whether it be toilet rolls or washing powder, whatever it may be. They've added a lot more. They've clearly been quite successful here in the UK.
I still don't quite understand them, but you know, to me,
I've never
like, what's wrong with the phone and stuff? It's
yeah.
like, you know.
Oh, look, I've run out of washing powder. I could just, I'll order some here. I don't get it.
Yeah,
or why don't you just go, Alexa, order me some washing powder?
I mean, the only thing I can think about is maybe you put that button like by the washing machine, you know, so wherever.
Well, that's how they do advertise it like that, yeah, which is quite a cool line.
Maybe that's the point. So.
Who knows? Yeah, maybe we're just too old and past it, Richard, for this newfangled, you know, convenience.
Well, I am more than you are. You're more than I'm like, well, wait a minute.
I'm just bitter. I'm just bitter and twisted. And finally, for me, augmented reality, how it can affect the market. This was actually a really fun article, which I enjoyed. Do check it out. Like I said, links in description. I think this. Let me just get the name of the company doing this, because there's a video which I think was put on the Shopify blog, but it's from a company called Magnolia Market.
Yeah. Really cool video.
Yeah, I think, you know, we've obviously, everyone think augmented reality. Everyone thinks, oh, Pokemon Go. Yeah, sort of, but in a more useful fashion. And yeah, this Magnolia Marketplace, you can like select a vase or, you know, some decoration, and you can then launch your camera and actually like use your camera's phone your phone's camera to actually show you on your screen what it would actually look like. And like I said, there's a video in the article. Go and check it out. I was super impressed with it. You can like rotate it round and everything. It's and it gets bigger and smaller as you move closer into it. So it gives you,
you know, as a side note, IKEA in Australia is working on something like that. So we kind of, instead of having to go through 8 miles of a IKEA store, you can actually just
I can do it from the comfort of my own home. Yeah. Jesus Christ!
There's a backstory to the IKEA.
Yeah, I ended up in an IKEA on Saturday, much against my will. However, yeah, I think.
You can't wait till VR IKEA becomes.
No, I don't want to ever go anywhere near it. Either in this reality, in a virtual reality, in an augmented reality. I don't want to ever go anywhere near it. It's annoying.
And with that, it's back to me with stories. Now that we've also upset probably IKEA. You know,
Sweden's now mad at us. God.
New Google checkout to reduce order abandonment. What Google has done is they are on Android Pay, and basically they've upgraded the API to integrate the various places where you might have stored some kind of credit card information on Google. I mean, especially if you use the browser, you might have stored it, in your account there. So this will make it easier. They kind of connected all these different accounts. There was, I think, Braintree was one of the first ones that was announced to integrate this new scheme. So read through the article. There's you see which payment processes are part of it. It just reduces checkout friction by having all the credit card or the payment information already available for the shopper. So I think it's a no-brainer for people to accept. Etsy teams up with American Express for Small Business Saturday. The Saturday after Thanksgiving here in the United States for about the last 8 years has been promoted by American Express as a small business Saturday day. You know, we need more days during the holiday season, but they've done a pretty good job with it. I'll give them credit for that. You know, they're highlighting the small businesses. They want people to go shopping at the small businesses. Obviously, it's meant for local businesses mostly, and Etsy is doing some things with them this year where they are promoting certain ones of their local markets that they have. Etsy has these local markets. I think it's called Etsy Local, and where the sellers that are on Etsy show off their wares. So they're doing a combination in several cities with American Express's Small Business Saturday. Kind of a cool idea. Probably didn't really cost anybody anything, and it's but it's just another thing where Etsy is trying to do more with the budgets that they have, and I think it's, if you're in one of those cities, why not try it? Why not go to one of those markets? And then Etsy also announced they want to improve their forum section. I mean, their community forums are pretty good. I go on there quite a bit, and I see people replying that are from Etsy, but they want to know, how can we communicate better? They put out a survey, and there's a link in the story that takes you directly to the survey. If you're an Etsy seller, I think this is you should fill it out, because they're looking for your ideas, and if a company looks for your ideas, you should give them your ideas. That's the way I look at it. This next one was a bit different. This is UPS expands experiment with electric-powered cargo bikes. Now, these are odd-looking vehicles that actually been around, I guess, in Europe. They've tried in Hamburg. I think was the very first. Hamburg, Germany was the very first pilot project, which in Europe, it makes a lot of sense to have some kind of small vehicle to deliver packages to, because unlike in the United States where you can drive around with a big delivery van, with the exception of maybe like New York or Chicago and areas like that, for the most part, they can park and there's a place for them to park and stop and deliver packages. That is not the case in Europe so much. For those who in the United States have never traveled there, parking is very much a premium, and so therefore they're experimenting with smaller vehicles, and they brought this into Portland early in the year here in the U.S., and now they're trying it in Canada and Toronto. Toronto has also recently got this selected by Google as one of their advanced cities where they're going to do a bunch of tech stuff. So apparently Toronto is becoming also the tech trial community of the world for Canada. I think it's a great idea what they're trying to do. It's it's environmentally probably friendlier than driving around the trucks, but it makes it a lot easier for the delivery drivers to get around. Plus, you get exercise if you work for them, because you got to sit there and pedal.
I'd want at least a V6 or something,
That's it. All these companies are getting away from those type of engines, unfortunately.
I see a niche for us, Richard. We should, big dirty V8 engine.
Yeah.
Get taxed massively.
Yeah, exactly. This last one though from UPS was an interesting story, which is they announced what they're anticipating. Deliveries of 750 million packages or parcels for the holiday season. That is a significant increase, as you can imagine, over their normal volume. I think they're talking about 30+ million a day when they're normally doing around 18, 19 million a day. That also includes, the new Saturday deliveries here in the United States, which are now available in most major markets. We've often contemplated, well, with Amazon starting to do a lot of their own deliveries, how does that impact UPS? Because I don't really see many UPS deliveries anymore from Amazon. But I know for the holidays, Amazon relies on UPS and on FedEx couriers to deliver, in addition to their own deliveries, in addition to the Postal Service. and clearly Walmart relies on UPS and FedEx, since they don't have their own infrastructure or deal with the postal service so much. And then you take everybody else, that's using these courier services. So there's no end right now in sight for when it comes to courier services taking advantage of e-commerce. And as a matter of fact, they are switching more to going toward residential deliveries. That's why the Saturday delivery by UPS, because the business side of it is the commercial deliveries maybe going away a little bit. And that is the lightning round.
Sure is.
Wasn't quite the most lightning of lightning rounds, but we'll make it work.
Was it really? It wasn't very concise at all. We will.
We did bring up the. Oh yeah, okay, never mind. I had added one to the lightning round. I forgot where I added it. It was earlier today. It was the
old Amazon one.
Yeah, 3. Yeah. So.
Okay, so on to the discussion round. Today we've got 2 pieces. The first one is never mind Kim Kardashian. The Royals are influencers in the UK. Now, this is an interesting take, and again, for anyone who, I'm surely you've heard the word influencer, social media influencer, marketing influencer. It's now a term for anybody who has an audience and can therefore monetize this audience by, it seems to be Instagram, mainly. Instagram's the big one that a lot of these influencers hang out on.
Facebook and YouTube are the other two.
Yeah, the other big one, obviously YouTube. Again, you have a big audience on YouTube, Facebook as well. And it's basically, if you have a big following on any of these social media platforms, you then have the ability to influence buying behavior and buying decisions from the people who actually follow you. In fact, our very own Matt Ogborn is who occasionally joins us for these meetings, is a fantastic example of this. He doesn't have loads of followers by any means. I think he's got 5,000 something subscribers on YouTube, but he's able to monetize that audience in his very specific niche, which means that companies constantly reach out to him asking him to review products or talk about this plane or whatever. And it is amazing that we're now moving into this society of influence. And again, the article talks about how Kim Kardashian is perhaps one of the most famous influencers after being famous for things that we shouldn't really mention at 3:30 in the afternoon here in the UK. But yeah, she's built
an adult movie leak.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's she's almost famous for not being good at anything really other than marketing herself. And it's interesting, and the article then goes on to explain how the Royals are actually huge influencers in the UK, but also I know specifically in Canada. Canada love the royal family, and maybe not just because Harry's going out with Meghan Markle and she spends a lot of time in Toronto. But yeah, it's curious, and the part of the article which I found most interesting is that the key influencers from the royal family are actually William and Kate's children. George and Charlotte, who, again, they seem to have such a clout of what they're wearing. All of a sudden, similar outfits start selling out in stores as parents are rushing out to try and make their kids dress like Prince George and Princess Charlotte. It's incredible.
It's sort of an amazing philosophy to me. I've never been one personally that has really acted upon in such a direct way with somebody's wearing or somebody's doing or somebody's promoting. I mean, let's face it, influencers, the social media influencers we call them today are nothing. I mean, I'm effectively just an extension of the old athlete influence, the personal sponsorships. I mean, which still exist, obviously. I mean, a lot of the there's a lot of athletes make a lot more money selling their face to an advertiser. And I've never understood why that's sold, but people apparently like that connection from a marketing point of view.
Get this. I think I read, this was a few months ago, TaylorMade had paid $100 million to Rory McIlroy to use TaylorMade clubs. Most people have to go and buy them. Have to buy the clubs. He gets them for free and gets paid $100 million. I think that, to be fair, I think the contract was for 10 years. 100 million, so 10 million a year. It's an incredible amount of money to use some golf clubs.
It's amazing to me, you know. And
I think Roger Federer as well was paid by Gillette a ridiculous amount of money. He had to constantly be clean shaven. That was in the contract. But again, he was paid so much money to be in a few adverts for Gillette.
Well, I mean, you know, I personally have this long-standing relationship with motorsports, you know, working in that field, and obviously when you look at that, you know, it's like on this side of the pond. You know, I think Richard Petty, who has this famous hat that's been wearing. I mean, he hasn't driven a car in, what, 30 years. You know, he still gets paid by STP to wear that hat, you know, because that is the signature hat of his, and he's still associated with STP.
With
and
that image, yeah,
it's just that image. I mean, and it's you know, there's a lot of the drivers in NASCAR or some in IndyCar that have, you know, I mean, Danica Patrick was biggest one for a while when it came to personal sponsorships. You know, that she was able to just, you know, she won one race, but because of the, you know, because
she was the prettiest driver.
She was the prettiest driver, but you know, she marketed herself as she was. I mean, the fact is, she was a fast driver and she was not a back marker, you know, so she was a reputable driver that could market herself.
She was holding her own with the men. So
exactly.
It's a powerful statement. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a powerful statement, and so there was a lot of following with that with her. And I mean, it's waned a little bit, but it's still there, you know. So influencers, you know, and you look at some of these kids that are 16, 17 years old, they start these goofy YouTube videos, you know, about what they do, and they start out with, you know, a video that was initially shot on a smartphone. Now they have production, you know, around it, and they're getting 1 to 2 million hits of video, and from a marketing, from an e-commerce, you know, point of view, there are, you know, there's opportunities there if you find the right influencer in a niche to go, you know, like I said, Matt has only 5,000 followers, but he's able to move the needle on certain things. If you can find the right influencer and say, hey, you give you product, I'll pay you to talk about it. I don't think actually Matt takes payments. I think he's trying to actually not get too much into the influence side of the business. But even with a small 5,000 or so, you know, can be a big number for somebody if it's in a niche marketplace, niche market segment. So clearly, you know, it works. And when it comes to the Royal part, what I thought was fascinating is, like, you know, okay, they have the clothes that they wear, you know, it's obviously all top brand name something, but not only do these top brand names sell out quickly on eBay and Amazon or wherever they are sold online, but lookalikes sell out like that, you know?
And there's whole businesses here in the UK which are built on, I mean, they're called fast fashion. And it's basically, you know, these sort of, I'd say retailers, they get stuff manufactured super quick, which looks like something in fashion that celebrities are wearing or influencers are wearing, and put them out for $10, $15, $20 available to the masses. So everybody can mimic that look, and they make millions doing this. This fast fashion here in the UK is incredibly popular.
Remember about 6 months ago, so I had that article from Amazon. It was on-demand production with the fashion.
Yes, that would be very powerful,
wouldn't it?
for this type of thing, incredibly powerful.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, if we get down to that point, and if Amazon actually puts that into production, or someone else for that matter, it just seems like Amazon is always the one that has something.
Yeah, Amazon will be the person to do it. Yeah, for sure.
So no, it's fascinating.
It is. It's a curious one, and again, it's like I said, YouTube has made millionaires of teenagers just because they have an audience. It is incredible, and like to clarify with Matt doesn't take money from businesses, you know, sending him things or asking him to review things. Matt monetizes his audience by being brutally honest about things, and because of that, and the affiliate links, he actually monetizes the audience, not the businesses, as treating him as an influencer. So there's multiple angles that influencers can make money. But yeah, it's curious that the royal family is one of the ones here in the UK.
Yeah. Let's see. Next discussion point. This is probably the contentious one of the week. If you want to call it that.
Contentious one, don't we?
Yeah. Excuse me. Sparkling water.
Yeah. The bubbles.
The bubbles got me. Amazon joins Walmart to offer delivery into your home. And I asked the question, why? Now, I started out that article with saying, you know, Silicon Valley at times comes up with ideas where we sit there and go like, really? What are we trying to solve? And I think I let me actually pull up the article. I put a couple of them in here that I thought were funny. One was Whistle, which is a Fitbit style device for dogs. It's actually still around. So if you want to find out what your dog is up to while you're gone, you can get Whistle. Then the other one that's still around is called Yo. It's a messaging platform that only sends one message. So I guess I didn't quite understand that one either, and I don't know how that still is around. Then the two failures, well, one was already failure. It apparently lasted only about 2 weeks from when the backstory I read on was called Washboard, and it delivered quarters to your home for laundry machines. So if you lived in an area where you needed quarters, and they would basically for a fee deliver you quarters. I think it was like $5 or $6. So
I think they looked at a problem and went about it the wrong way. Rather than delivering quarters to the home, surely someone just went and put contactless payments on the washing machines. So someone's going to tap the phone on it. Oh no, we've gone out of business because nobody actually needs cash anymore.
Yeah, and then the other one that happened last week, and is Teforia. It was a $1,000 internet connected tea infusion machine that basically, I guess, put flavor into your tea. And you could program it remotely from your smartphone based on flavors. So I sat there like, okay. And they wanted $1,000 for this thing. I'm like, you know, these are sort of like the atypical, odd. And all of these, I believe, got funding. That was the funniest. I think Washboard was the only one. Yeah, I think Washboard was the only one that didn't have funding, but the other three have funding. So that's the worst part about it. That they're like, really? Who thought this would be a good idea? So basically what I was getting at with my story to start with is sometimes it seems like the people in tech invent problems and then create solutions for the invented problem. And I wondered if delivering inside of your house falls in that category, not only because how many people want strangers in the house when they're not there? You know, that was my first question. And the second question was, at least here in the United States, where we're such a litigious society, if somebody slips, falls, or does whatever in the house, lawsuits happen immediately. And then the third one, I mean, all you have to do is just watch Judge Judy. There's half of these stories on her show are just about stuff like that. And you sit there going, okay. And then the liability of it all, you know, who's responsible, you know, and if it's a big enough of a case, then an ambulance chaser / lawyer will sue everybody. You know, does that expose the seller too? It seems like I threw out everything negative and said, why do we need this? And then I asked Dave, I said, what's your thought?
And me, being the eternal optimist in life, came around and just said convenience. Convenience is the key. And much like why Click and Collect does so well here in the UK, it's convenient for people. What isn't convenient for people is ordering something online, being told you cannot have it delivered to the workplace. So then you either have to book a day off work to stay in and wait for this package, or you take the chance that a neighbor can sign for it. If they can't, you get a letter through the door saying we attempted delivery, come and collect it from your sorting office. Just so happens the office hours match your office hours, so it's never open when you can actually get there. And this is why Click and Collect has done so well. And I think this is now the next step. Click and Collect is still not convenient. You still have to go somewhat out of your way, walk into a store, pick up your item. And, you know, it's better, but it's not perfect. And this is the solution. This is the perfect solution. You order something online and it magically turns up in your house. You don't even need to be in there to accept it. Now, we are a good few years away from this holy grail solution, because I don't have a smart lock. Richard, do you have a smart lock?
No.
I can't see myself getting one in the next few years. So obviously,
a dumb lock.
Yeah, my lock's stupid. Yeah, but I mean, it's to the point where there's going to need to be, it's the hardware here, which is the issue. So firstly, the hardware issue. We need more people using smart locks in order for this to become a thing. And don't be, they are out there. Like, I stayed at an Airbnb in London, and the guy said, oh, when you get to the front door, ring me. And he had a little camera up at the thing. He's like, oh, I'll buzz you in. He's in like Morocco or somewhere. And he pressed a button on his phone and the door opened. It was incredible.
Okay, I can see the smart lock for that work for that. Okay,
yeah, exactly. So there is uses out there for it, you know, and you know, some millionaire in Morocco wanted to rent one of his properties on Airbnb. It makes sense. But for average Dave and Rich, you know, there's nothing really wrong with a key. So, you know, that is for me the biggest stumbling point right now. And like Rich said, you know, you have your, especially in the US, your legality issues with, you know, people tripping, dogs attacking someone, whatever it may be. Someone's going to get sued eventually anyway.
I mean, the thing is in the US, I mean, the dog part of it, or the pet part of it, was the first thing that really popped in my head. It's like, okay, I have cats. Cats don't generally, you can have aggressive cats, but most cats are
you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone generally.
Yeah. But dogs are a little different story. They're much more protective of their environment.
Yes.
And by law here, your homeowners insurance or your renter's insurance covers basically anything, you know, covers what your dog does to someone else, you know, technically. So if you rent, which I will say that probably the smallest amount of people here in the US that rent have actually renter's insurance, most people aren't covered for anything like that. So all of a sudden they own like a dog, and the dog attacks the delivery person. You know, now they become, as a customer, liable, you know, and that can get into a small claims court case. Now, that's the legal side of it. The other part of it, you know, could it be abused by gangs and criminals? Okay, anything can be abused by gangs and criminals. I mean, that's just the reality of it. You know, there's no way around it. But yeah, there's a possibility. I mean, you know, part of, I think, here in the U.S. that became a little bit of a story for a few years was that people were following UPS trucks and FedEx trucks and basically stealing things off the porch. You know, because here most of the time they just leave it outside the door. Now, you know, I think that over the next 10 years, what would make the more amount of sense, at least when it comes to sort of the townhome type communities that I live in, is that you have a location where you have these lockers, you know, so now as you drive into your community, you go, okay, you have a notification something was delivered, it's in this locker, you pick it up and you get it. Now, nothing is built that way today, okay? And with the exception of the Postal Service here has some lockers like that, but they can't be accessed by anybody else, plus they're kind of small. You know, even if so they usually leave, like you were talking about, the slip, and then you have to go to the post office and stand in line for 10 minutes if you're lucky. You know, smart lock. I mean, the smart lock technology would make sense to me if you live in an area that's true. If you have your freestanding house with maybe with a room, in most cases that might be a garage or a laundry room that can be separated and separately locked to the main part of the house, I could see it work for that.
And I think there's the issue as well. They said that, oh, the locks will have cameras on them, so you'll be able to see who you're letting into your home, and it'll be recording, so you can watch the footage back. That's all well and good, but the lock isn't going to follow him around the room, is it? You'll see him arrive and you'll see him leave. What he, you know, if he's pocketed a phone, a watch, jewelry, you would never know until it's far too late.
Well, this was my other part of this article that brought this up slightly is, you know, Amazon with Amazon Key, Walmart less so, but Amazon Key was trying to sell the Amazon what do they call them, the cloud camera devices. So this all interconnected, so you could now put all these cameras into your home to record every piece of your house, and that got me to thinking, well, okay, so let's think about this. Now I'm going to record things that happen in my house, have it uploaded to a cloud service that I don't have control over. What possibly could go wrong?
Yeah. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, this solution still, and I think that's why it's to the point as well. I mean, if for me personally, if I was going to use this, I would then want to start putting smart locks on every door, and therefore controlling where they could deliver. So if you had a door that went into your garage, you could open the garage and let him leave it in there. Or if you had a porch or like a double fronted entrance to your house, you could open the first door, have him leave it in there and not the second one. Or, so you could control what rooms opened. That sounds like it could get very expensive with multiple smart locks on multiple different passcodes and whatever else. But I mean, one solution to the problem is that controlling how much of the house they can actually gain access to.
And now you're getting to a point is how much is that going to cost you to set up, maintain on a monthly basis for whatever services, and what I found interesting is like, we have everybody and their brother in this country now, at least in the United States, getting into the home security. I mean, Comcast Cable, like what largest cable providers, now wants to use. Obviously, they're already in your home because they can offer internet. Now they want to, sell you all these security services around it, and Google is involved with Nest in the security. So on one side we have part of the people selling, here's security, blah blah, do all this stuff for security. Even Amazon's Cloud Cam falls in that category, and then go up, but open the door to let people in, and you can watch them steal your stuff.
And I think, it also begs the question, are we now going to see the portrayal of burglars moving from big burly guys with bandanas on to geeky kids with laptops trying to hack into your smart lock and unlock your doors, remotely? There's a lot of, like I said, from right now, there's a lot of questions which need to be fully answered. How is this going to work?
Isn't it, am I not correct with saying that there is no such thing as a secure Wi-Fi to a hacker? That I think all Wi-Fi.
Absolutely. But I mean, you could say the same to a door. Maybe other than Fort Knox, if someone wants to get through a door, they'll get through a door. In case of, regardless of how good your lock is.
It keeps the stupid out, is what we're all.
Yeah, exactly. One good boot is pretty much going to put a hole in your door. So it's, but again, depends how much noise you're going to make and alert the neighbors, set the alarm off, so there are considerations. But ultimately, we work on the theory that you're never going to keep a determined person out of whatever it is, whether that's your Wi-Fi, your home. If someone really wants to get in, they'll find a way in. They'll break glass, they'll do whatever. Yeah. So, that is the consideration there. But the point for me is, like I said, as being the optimist and liking convenience and seeing how that always wins, and always seeing that where we've come from. I remember 10 years ago, I had an Amazon account, and I was in university, and my mum asked me what this Amazon thing was about. I said, oh, you just put your bank details in and you can buy things on your account. I'm not putting my bank details into a computer. No. What? Somebody might take them. And it's like, who? But also, and what are they going to do with it? But ultimately, that was the thing, and that is now the perception we're dealing with right now. People are like, I'm not letting random people into my house. But what if that person was a robot? What if it was a drone or something? Which again, it's the way it's going to go. And like I said, it sounds alien right now, and it sounds uncomfortable because we're not used to it. But ultimately, I think convenience wins. And what's better than ordering something and not even having to be in to sign for it, deliver it, knowing that it's confirmed in your house? They will find a way to make it work.
I can see that, and I also can see that, at least when it comes, I mean, this might be more applicable to the United States with new house constructions. Europe doesn't tend to build as much new stuff since you don't have as much room over there.
Well, I mean, saying that right now, we're building an awful lot of things up in Manchester. Yeah. We don't have many high rises. Give it 5 years, there'll be so many.
Well, so but okay, so that's a good valid point. So there you go. You take high rises. So now, if you start looking from an architectural design point of view, you start looking at safe spaces per se for packages. Did I really just use that word?
Right, that's another group of people who were offended. Rich, anyone who's ever used a safe space.
I had to take I did a double take as soon as I said it. I'm like, oh, wait a second.
Oh, no, it's in my dictionary.
You know but so are we going to use safe spaces or create safe spaces for package deliveries to where, you have little rooms, either maybe, on a maybe not on a per unit basis, but on a per floor basis, or if it's just downstairs on the entry. I see that more where this could go. I
know, but even then, have you ever been in a hotel and you've had to check out early, but your flight's not for a few hours? It's like, oh, you can use our luggage room, and there's always that little bit of you which is like, is it locked? Who can access it? Is my bag still going to be there when I come back?
Yeah, I've used them a couple times, but yeah, no, I hear what you mean with that.
It's a curious one. I don't have the answers at all.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that they
generally when I've had to leave, when I left my luggage at a hotel a couple times, it was a place that I thought was a more upscale business.
Yeah, you weren't staying in Compton.
Yeah, if it was
that's
dodgy,
Compton, we've now offended.
Yeah, if I was thinking it was a dodgy neighborhood or dodgy area, then I would usually find some other method to deal with it.
Carry my case around with me.
Yeah, that, or check it in early, or leave it in the car.
Yeah. So again, there's definite considerations. I think they'll find a way to make it work. I think it sounds scary right now, but again, there will be. Amazon and Walmart haven't gone into this blind. They know they need to answer some questions in order for the public to adopt this.
Well, I'm sure that the legal department, the risk management folks, they took a look at it as like, okay, we're going to possibly get sued out of this X amount of times. And you have to look at it this way. Large corporations get sued every day, more than once a day. As a matter of fact, I think that even Walmart, that one piece we had a few weeks ago, that talked about they get 5,000 lawsuits a year. Just little things like that. It's just stuff. That's just what they deal with. They made an estimate. What's our risk in this? And what do we have to possibly do to defend it? And is it worth moving the technology forward, sort of the bleeding edge, so to speak, and that's probably where we're at right now. And I agree with you on that is, we are at the bleeding edge of this. Because there's other potential delivery methods, such as drones, like you just brought up, that might work out better for these type of, situation. Who knows, robots, drones. I mean, maybe in 10 years we'll have a device that looks like a microwave, and we just order it and the stuff just magically appears inside of it. And now it's a Star Trek.
Or like Harry Potter's room of requirement. Who knows?
3D printing.
3D printing as well. It's very, very good point.
Yeah.
Who knows where we were? I'm now currently wondering if I can sue IKEA for loss of earnings because it took me 3 hours to get a lampshade. Anyway, that's just me. With that said, that is all of the main discussion points.
3 hours for a lampshade.
Maybe exaggerating slightly. But yeah, as we said, we've covered lots with you today. A quick rundown. Amazon launches Business Prime shipping in the US and Germany. Facebook expands to Marketplace for car shoppers. PayPal launches PayPal for marketplaces. Amazon FBA UK wants products for holiday season. Amazon announces Q3 sales up 34% to $43.7 billion. Amazon acquires Body Labs. Free return policy could attract more buyers. Click and collect services high in the UK. Royal Mail appoints a mediator for the strike. Amazon adds more dash buttons. Augmented reality and how it can affect the market. Google Checkout reduces order abandonment. Etsy teams up with Amazon American Express for Small Business Saturday. Etsy wants your opinion about forums. UPS expands experiments with electric-powered cargo bikes. UPS plans for record holiday deliveries of 750 million parcels. And then we had a bit of a discussion about social influencers and why the royal family are the new Kim Kardashians, not in that way. And also how Amazon has joined Walmart in the race to basically get parcels into your home without you necessarily being there, and all the implications that go along with that. I think it's been a good chat today, Rich.
Yeah. And on that note,
we will firstly thank you for watching, as always. We'll be back same time, same place next Monday. And again, for all of your e-commerce needs, head over to eSellerCafe.com, where we update you as and when the news breaks about all the latest goings on, as well as some information pieces which could help you and your business. Richard, thank you as always for another great week. And yeah, it's been fun.
It's been fun. We'll see you next week at the same time. Remember, most likely, I believe the UK will be that 1 hour early again. And we'll let you know in your emails.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Sounds good.
We'll see you next week, guys. Thank you for.
Maybe I'll have a haircut by then.
I've got some weeks left in
mine. Mine is bad. All right, take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.